Now, you might or might not have heard of the term rat race before, but one thing's certain, you might be experiencing or have experienced it before, and you just didn't know what it was called. Remember that time after you finished school and landed your first job? By the time you got your hands on your first paycheck, what did you do? You might tell me about your lifelong dream of buying a gadget you've longed for when you were still in school, or maybe even tell me how you used the money to finally purchase your own car that you've been dreaming about the moment you were hired. The next paycheck led to another dream fulfillment that keeps evolving into something bigger that requires you to work harder than you already are to attain it. This endless pursuit is what you call the rat race. To understand it further, it typically involves a lot of comparison and competition. There's usually constant competition at work or in the company to surpass others. Your classmates alter after you succeed in beating them and leave the cubicle. You and your new colleagues, who also own offices, aim to secure the corner office. You grow once more, earning the top position. You then turn to face the ceiling as the stakes are raised. The board is located on the upper floor, where this competition continues. The rat race is this competitive quest with no clear destination. I want you to meet Bob and Emily so we can gain some context. In college, Bob and Emily are both in the same class. Since they both have always enjoyed tinkering with stats, it was no surprise that they ended themselves in the same business class. In college, there was a mix of weekend hard partying and a few all-nighters when the homework piled up. Although neither of them put much effort in class, they completed their assignments on time and maintained respectable grades. A few nights a month, Emily, Bob, and some of their other pals would get together to play Scrabble, while engaging in contentious political debates. Each of them thoroughly appreciated these nights, which were typically the best part of their months. Fast forward to when they complete college, find respectable employment, and gradually enter the rat race without realizing it. They naturally vowed to always stay in touch with one another as most university friends do, and they did so by playing Scrabble once a month. They used to get together at least once a month for a while to play some games and reminisce about their college years. However, one of their friends, Matthew, stopped going after a few months because his girlfriend became pregnant. Matthew had to spend extra time at the office to earn more money to cover the baby's predicted increasing expenses. Children are expensive. In addition, Jenny received a promotion and was forced to relocate. Bob soon began dating, and after a year of dating, he proposed to her, and they later wed. He consistently put in a lot of effort at work, which led to a promotion with the new department head position at work. Bob couldn't drive about in his old beat-up Toyota Corolla, so he purchased a new vehicle and sold the previous one. When his wife became pregnant, they had to relocate to a larger home to make room for the baby. He had long since forgotten about the regular Scrabble game because he was now engaged in the game of life. He obtained a mortgage, acquired a second vehicle, established college savings accounts for the children, and kept reminding himself that he needed to begin stock trading. Bob kept whining that his expenses seemed to increase year by year, and he had to work even harder to get the same amount of money. Emily, on the other hand, was never able to find love. Gaining professional advancement was everything to her. When she graduated from college, she realized the amount of time she had wasted on what she perceived as unimportant activities. Because of this, she meticulously scheduled her days to maximize each one. Due to the level of self-discipline she had instilled in herself, Emily found job advancement to be rather easy. She advanced up the ladder by defeating department heads for managerial positions and other managers for managing directorships. Soon, she relocated to a different firm in search of a higher paying post. Although she did not spend much time with her friends, she did have them and enjoyed their company. As a result, she found it difficult to maintain any other relationships outside of her job. 20 years after graduating from college, Bob was getting ready to enter a meeting while sitting in his car when the drudgery of the rat race suddenly crashed down on him. With all of his work time, his marriage was in trouble. Although he adored his children dearly, he hardly ever saw them. He was developing professionally, that much is certain, and his financial decisions were paying off. Even so, he wasn't content. He had believed that having a large income, a luxurious car, and making sure his children had the greatest life possible would make him content. Instead, he was worn out from attempting to advance while seeing no end in sight and from repeatedly performing the same menial tasks. He only yearned to be back in their cramped college dorm room where they could get wasted, play Scrabble, and bash Play-Doh. Bob made a call to his Scrabble team and made plans for a meetup while he was in the car. Many people, including Jenny, Emily, and Matthew, said they would attend. Only Emily was present that evening. They talked about the rat race and whether they were glad they had accomplished practically everything they had hoped to by the time they graduated from college. Were they able to view the end horizon? Was it ineffective? Bob was dissatisfied because he thought there had to be a better way to accomplish this rather than to continue living their boring lives. Most of Emily's attitude was resignation. She had no idea of any approach to life that didn't require her power suits. She was fed, clothed, allowed to take her expensive and infrequent holidays, and finally, she was as happy as the rat race could make her. Leaving life's financial trap that evening when she came home, Emily decided to see if there was another way to go about things. Was there any reason to constantly advance her career? She had grown to detest her job and its monotonous nature. She decided to see if leaving the rat race would improve the quality of her life after reading a few books and browsing through articles on certain websites. First, she needed to ascertain whether she was participating in the rat race. She couldn't possibly back out of something she hadn't admitted to being a part of. She then posed these three basic queries. Is there a resolution in sight? No. Her job progress was an ongoing lifelong process. Was competitiveness a factor in her life and career in general? Immensely. It was her sole opportunity for advancement. Was it described in contrast? There were a lot of possibilities. Emily's next task was to see if there were any other ways she might generate income. Her main source of income came from the rat race, so when she decided to leave it, she needed to find another source of income. She conducted a brainstorming exercise and discovered that she lacked any other abilities besides math. She just rarely enjoyed painting and drawing, but that was pretty much it. The alternatives exploration: how can you earn money by painting and drawing? As she pursued this interest, Emily had to ask herself this question. She chose to extend her workdays at home as a solution. Working harder while seeking to escape the rat race does sound a little crazy. But Emily found comfort in painting and drawing though. She enjoyed exploring new things and wasn't necessarily reliant on them to support her. She looked forward to unwinding after her day's work, even if she spent an absurd amount of time doing it. She looked into the various ways she could make this interest a source of income simultaneously. In the end, Emily gradually escaped the rat race by breaking up her day with an activity that isn't focused on generating money or moving up. It was a need versus luxuries battle. To completely wean herself off her day job, Emily had to decide what she needed and give up the extras. She needed to take affordable holidays and wear practical clothing, and she didn't really need a chauffeur since she could drive. Her income requirement was reduced by foregoing these indulgences and focusing more on her requirements, which made it simpler for her to quit her job. Because of this competitive drive, fear of losing his job, and desire to fit in with his contemporaries, Bob was unable to escape the rat race. He reasoned that when all this was over, he may retire to a tiny fishing community on the coast and be content. On the other hand, Emily took her time, making little changes to her life and realizing that happiness can't wait. It needs to be attained now. Let's jump ahead to 2 years later. Emily founded her own design business in school, which she leads and maintains by utilizing her corporate connections. Although she isn't yet profitable, she anticipates to be so in a few months. By then, she can run the company herself or hire someone else to do it. In essence, Emily would have gotten out of the rat race and could now begin living her life according to her own terms. This is only one example of the difficulties that many people in the modern world confront. Unfortunately, most people will have to spend most of their prime years working for a living. However, you aren't required to take this route. It's time for you to take control of your financial destiny. Every day, more and more people are creating online businesses thanks to the internet, including e-commerce stores, blogs, social media influencers, affiliate marketers, and so on. And that is it for the story of Bob, Emily, Matthew, and Jenny. Also, about the financial trap that a lot of individuals fell into. Please do comment, like, and share this video. We hope you like it. We'll see you at the next one.